HarperCollins presents J.R.R. Tolkien, a Biography, by Humphrey Carpenter, read by Roger May. Part 1. A Visit. It is mid-morning on a spring day in 1967. I have driven from the centre of Oxford, over Magdalen Bridge, along the London Road, and up a hill into the respectable but dull suburb of Headington. Near a large private school for girls, I turned left into Sandfield Road, a residential street of two-storey brick houses, each with its tidy front garden. Number 76 is a long way down the road. The house is painted white and is partially screened by a tall fence, a hedge, and overhanging trees. I park the car, open the arched gate, go up the short path between rose bushes, and ring the front doorbell. For a long time there is silence, except for the rumble of distant traffic on the main road. I am beginning to think of ringing again, or of turning away, when the door is opened by Professor Tolkien. He is slightly smaller than I expected. Tallness is a quality of which he makes much in his books, so it is a little surprising to see that he himself is slightly less than the average height. Not much, but just enough to be noticeable. I introduce myself, and since I made this appointment in advance and am expected, the quizzical and somewhat defensive look that first met me is replaced by a smile. A hand is offered, and my own is firmly grasped. Behind him I can see the entrance hall, which is small and tidy, and contains nothing that one would not expect in the house of a middle-class elderly couple. W. H. Auden, in an injudicious remark quoted in the newspapers, has called the house hideous, but that is nonsense. It is simply ordinary and suburban. Mrs. Tolkien appears for a moment to greet me. She is smaller than her husband, a neat old lady with white hair bound close to her head and dark eyebrows. Pleasantries are exchanged, and then the Professor comes out of the front door and takes me into his office at the side of the house. This proves to be the garage, long abandoned by any car. He explains that he has not had a car since the beginning of the Second World War, and since his retirement made habitable and given over to the housing of books and papers formerly kept in his college room. The shelves are crammed with dictionaries, works on etymology and philology, and editions of texts in many languages, predominant among which are Old and Middle English and Old Norse. But there is also a section devoted to translations of The Lord of the Rings into Polish, Dutch, Danish, Swedish, and Japanese, and the map of his invented Middle-earth is pinned to the window ledge. On the floor is a very old portmanteau full of letters, and on the desk are ink bottles, nibs and pen holders, and 2 typewriters. The room smells of books and tobacco smoke. It is not very comfortable, and the Professor apologizes for receiving me here, but he explains that there is no space in the study-cum-bedroom in the house where he actually does his writing. He says that, in any case, this is all temporary. Soon he will, he hopes, manage to finish at least a major part of the work promised to his publishers, and then he and Mrs. Tolkien will be able to move to more comfortable quarters and congenial surroundings, away from visitors and intrusions. He looks slightly embarrassed after the last remark. I climb past the electric fire and, at his bidding, seat myself in a wheel-back chair, as he takes his pipe from the pocket of his tweed jacket and launches into an explanation of his inability to spare me more than a few minutes. A shiny blue alarm clock ticks noisily across the room, as if to emphasize the point. He says that he has to clear up an apparent contradiction in a passage of The Lord of the Rings that has been pointed out in a letter from a reader. The matter requires his urgent consideration, as a revised edition of the book is about to go to press. He explains it all in great detail, talking about his book not as a work of fiction, but as a chronicle of actual events. He seems to see himself not as an author who has made a slight error that
Sample complete. Ready to continue?